Yo, what up, it's Don.
Sammy Lee here.
Back up in it versus video.
Ooh, this is a big versus video. Yeah. The Kyrie 5 versus the Kyrie 4.
Did they improve?
Did they improve? Did Ben improve on his design? And did the performance of the shoe get better from the 4 to the 5? If you guys want to cop either of these shoes, we'll leave a link in the description box. But let's get it started with the tracciones. Very different. It looks very different. Starting off with the 5, you have little pods that look like eyeballs. You have very strategically placed lines for like lateral movements and stuff, which Kyrie does a lot of, and it's a really good traction pattern, dude. Like on a clean court, really good bite. It does pick up dust, but at first it was really bad on dust. But after breaking it in, it actually picked it up a little bit less, and also the bite got a little bit better. Once I wiped after breaking it in. I had really good stops. Dust you shouldn't be too worried about. If you, once you break it in, you just gotta wipe pretty frequently. So there's that, and also outdoor use. There's really no fraying or anything, and I would have thought, like these really like soft, thin rubber pieces on the edges of the shoe would like rip off or something, kind of like in the Kobe 360. But it's holding up really well, and I did play in these outdoors. Yeah, durability seems pretty good as well. The Kyrie 4 though...
Yeah, the Kyrie 4 is really different as far as traction pattern goes.
Yeah.
You have these zigzag lines. They're pretty thick. The rubber is pretty soft as well, not super durable. And the grooves are... The tread is actually thicker in the 4. But yeah, traction in the 4 is super good.
Yes.
Solid, minimal dust pickup, great bite. Which one is better though?
So I did play in the gym when it was real dry, right after the fire, and we had the fire here, and there was a lot of dust and dirt because from the ashes and stuff. I don't know how it got in the gym, but there was a lot of ash on the floor.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I played in both of these shoes when it was really bad. Like the Kyrie 2 was barely sticking, and the Kyrie 5 was sticking a little bit better. The Kyrie 4, it didn't perform as well on dust, and I was sliding a little bit more on dust. But on a clean court, they're both really good. I feel like the Kyrie 5 is a little bit better on dust because of that, and also durability. The Kyrie 5 is way better. The Kyrie 4, even just on indoor courts, it sucks.
Yeah, it starts to wear down.
Yeah, it starts to wear down. The Kyrie 5, it seems to be good. Also, the outsole curvature. The Kyrie 5 bulges out a little bit more on the medial side. The Kyrie 4 is just straight up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to explain. So the Kyrie 4 is just, here's your foot, and that's the outsole curvature, But the Kyrie 5, here's your foot, and it kind of bulges out a little bit, So the Kyrie 5 it wants to stay like this a little bit more, and it's a little bit harder to, roll like this. The Kyrie 4 just really wants to roll.
Yeah.
So it all depends on what you like. I like both, I don't really mind it. I just like the extra rubber that comes up. But overall traction, I give it to the 5s.
Moving on to cushion.
Ooh, yeah, very different.
Yeah.
So the Kyrie 5 basically uses a Phylon foam midsole, and it's pretty stiff. If you look at the video, there is a little bit of a compression, but definitely not as much as the 4. But it's a little bit better than the Kyrie 2 and the 3. So I'm not mad at that, but it's still pretty stiff, especially in the heel. The Zoom Turbo in the forefoot is actually a pretty big unit. It is articulated though, and it's not super thick. I think it's only like 7 or 8 millimeters thick, which is, I guess, standard. But I think like full-length Zoom unit setups in, I think the 0.1 is like 10 or 11 millimeters thick. But yeah, you do need to break it in, or I needed to break it in. I know some people that didn't need to break it in, they felt the Zoom unit right away. But I needed to break it in. But once I did, it has a nice little compression. Not as crazy as, I guess, the Pro Tros or the 0.1, but it has a nice little bounce to it as well. Impact protection is good. But yeah, so there's that. The Kyrie 4 though.
The Kyrie 4 has Cushlon in there,
Ooh.
and it's pretty damn nice.
Yes.
Overall, one of the better Kyries as far as impact protection. Pretty plush ride. Super nice. I don't know, which one did you like better?
It's really interesting. So if you like heel compression, definitely go with the 4s. The Cushlon does bottom out though. Like it doesn't bottom out quickly, but it does after like a few months. So you're not gonna feel it as much in the heel, obviously. The forefoot is pretty much dead. But the Kyrie 5 is basically the opposite. There's really no heel compression or anything. I mean, just a little bit. But you know, there is that nice zoom unit in the forefoot. So it all depends on what you like. And also the insole is really different. The Kyrie 5 feels way better. Like, feel this. Like, you know, it has a really nice,
that's nice.
compression. It feels like a memory foam in the 5, but the 4 is really thin.
Yeah.
So that also kind of makes a difference as well. I feel like I like the 5 a little bit better. But you know, it all depends on what you like as well there. But for me personally, I would go with the 5s.
Alright.
Moving on to fit, true to size, you know, they fit pretty much the same. Actually, exactly the same. I guess the Kyrie 5 fits a little bit narrower, just a tad bit, but other than that, basically the same. So watch out if you're a wide footer.
Materials?
Materials, the 4 has, you know, this suede, you know, in the back, which I don't like, but I guess in the more later models, the EM goes all throughout the upper. So I'll compare it to that. And the EM is basically the same, dude.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's pretty stiff at first, but but once you break it in, it gets soft, pliable, and it's really supported. No stretch to the material at all. And it's also really thin, so it feels pretty minimal on foot. Materials, basically the same. I tied up there, but you do have this little strap thing in the Kyrie 5, which will, I guess, tie into support and lockdown. I like the flywire on the lateral side. You know, I can definitely feel that tighten up, and when I do a lateral movement, I can kind of feel the flywire, you know, being there because the EM is soft and it feels like it's caging me in. So
the flywire is like longer.
Yeah,
in this one because there's flywire here.
Oh yeah, there is. Yeah.
But it just kind of pops out of the upper, so it doesn't. You don't really feel it biting on your foot.
I wonder if it goes all the way down.
I'm not sure.
I've never really figured that out. But does it? I guess that is a nice little touch. But the Kyrie 4 is still really good. You know, lateral containment not an issue in the Kyrie 4. So yeah, I mean, support and lockdown, I give it a tie. I guess the ankle does come up a little bit higher. I don't know, but I guess actually not. But for me, the Kyrie 5, the ankle support felt a little bit better. It restricts your your ankle movement a little bit more going this way. So if you like that, I would say the Kyrie 5 has a little bit better ankle protection. But other than that, yeah, I give it a tie. Another thing is that the Kyrie 5 is a little bit wider as well. You know, so I would say a good amount.
Yeah.
You guys see that? Well, you guys are probably seeing it on video, but yeah, it's probably like a centimeter or two, you know? So you're gonna be a little bit more stable, I guess, that way. Support and lockdown, I give it a tie there. Moving on to weight. I think they're like the same, right?
Probably.
The 5 is 13.3 and the 4 is 13.12. Basically the same weight, 0.2 ounces.
Yeah.
I would say the Kyrie 4 feels a little bit bulkier in the ankle area because there's a lot of padding in the ankle area.
Yeah.
For the 4s, the 5 they mellowed it down a little bit, so it's not as, you know, thick in the ankle. But other than that, yeah, they're both, you know, not the most minimal feeling shoe, but it's not overly bulky. But responsiveness, like while you're playing, you feel light on your feet in both of the shoes, so you're gonna be good to go responsive wise. Moving on to comfort, overall comfort of the shoe. Oh, dude, I don't know, man. You know, I like the heel compression in the 4, but the 5 I also like the zoom unit. So if you're casually walking around and you prefer the heel compression over the zoom unit in the forefoot, then you pick the 4, but it all depends on what you think is more comfortable. But materials and fit is basically the exact same.
Breaking time, same, different?
Breaking time, yeah, the 4 I needed to break in the traction as well. You know, needed to move the little nubs, microscopic nubs on the outsole pattern. And also the 5 I needed to break in, I'd say it's around the same there. The 4, the cushion, you can feel right out the box. 5, for me, the forefoot zoom unit, I needed to break in also. Materials are the same, so you're gonna need to break in the materials as well in both of the shoes. It's pretty stiff at first, but gets really soft once you break it in. So yeah, I'd say it's around the same besides, I guess, the cushion. But the traction and the materials, it takes around the same amount of time. So break-in time, it takes a few days for both of the shoes, so I give it a tie there. Durability, 5 is a lot better, I would say. The 4 durability is actually pretty bad. The suede here, especially in the toe, you know, that gets ruined if you do a lot of toe drags, and the outsole is very not durable. Ventilation, I give it a tie.
Right.
Actually, no, the 4 is a little bit hotter. You know, just because the ankle is actually pretty thick, the materials.
Mm-hmm.
The 5, they did mellow it out a little bit, so it's not as hot on the ankle. So I'd say the 5 is a little bit cooler. There.
Aesthetics.
5.
The 5.
Which one do you liking better? 5 or the 4? Tell us what you guys think. I feel like a lot of people like the 5 better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, wrapping things up. Price-wise, they did increase the price of the Kyrie 5 by $10. The Kyrie 4, when it came out, the retail price was $120. Kyrie 5 is $130. But what performs better? Oh man. Okay, so I'd say they perform basically the same. The only major difference is the cushion. So if you like having the heel cushion, then go with the Kyrie 4. If you like zoom unit, especially in the forefoot, go with the Kyrie 5. You know, the traction, they're both really good. I would say the Kyrie 5 is a little bit better, especially on dust, but not too big of a difference. And also, I guess the outsole curvature, that's not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not really a deal breaker or anything. Material is basically the same. So the strap doesn't really add any crazy benefit to the shoe. You know, I like the fly wire on the side, but it's not a deal breaker. Kyrie 4 is still good. Fit is pretty much the same. So yeah, it just depends on what type of cushion setup you like, is in my opinion. But for me, I like the 5s, dude. I really like the 5s. Kyrie 5 for the win there. If price does matter to you, I mean, this shoe is new. It's $130. That's on sale, $80-$90 right now.
Yeah.
So if price matters to you, yeah, definitely go ahead and get the Kyrie 4. But if it doesn't, for me personally, I would recommend the 5.
And if looks are important to you too,
Probably the
I don't know
5.
about you guys, but we prefer the 5.
Yeah, sir.
So there's that. If you do want to copy either of these, links are down below as always. Thanks for tuning in, Soul Brothers. We'll catch you in the next one later.
Thanks.